So, good morning, Royce. Thanks for taking part in this. As we said, we're just going to go through a review of this morning's session. And thanks for providing the session plan.
Yep, no worries.
Always love reading your session plans. Very, very detailed, very, very thorough, very, very precise. This morning's session, you were looking at some of the group riding techniques and tried to, your aim was to fine-tune those, get them riding as efficiently as possible. You had a number of exercises. You did remove echelon from today's group riding activity, mainly because the riders needed to first get the pace line technique a little bit more in tune, and they're through not riding in tune.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Thank you very
much. Thank you, Jack.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, because in the timings, I'd had the team time trial as an option. And on the balance of how I wanted to use the time today, I thought rather than bring a third technique in, it was going to be better to bed in the techniques from the pace line work.
Yeah.
And we'd done echelon just about 3 weeks ago anyway.
Sure. And it was not a windy day
No
today.
wind.
It was so technically you were disadvantaged. Looking at your session plan, I think your session went pretty much to plan. As so you made some adjustments on the fly, which was good. Generally, good management of your resources. The way you get Duncan motivated, get Duncan to participate and manage group sections meant that the flow of riders coming through, less talk time, more ride time was good. And I really love the way you get down to the riders level. I think you must go on with a sore back, but you are constantly addressing riders face to face rather than lecturing down to them when they're not looking up. I think that's really noticeable. You do that
kind
with
of subconscious, really. Yeah.
Yeah, but you get right into them, and you can see that when you are addressing them, they're not distracted by anything. They are really at your level, and they are communicating back with you. And I think the way that you tease out questioning, making sure that people understand the way that you deliver what's required, I think is a really good approach, especially with youth riders.
Yeah.
Really brilliant.
Well, that's, with more time and experience here, the big challenge was getting them to pay attention. And I found that if I break them into small groups, rather than just addressing the big large group, that I can command their attention better.
Yeah, and that is a challenge. That's a challenge. When you have a group of this size, you're currently working with the largest group possible, and that arc effect of pulling people in, you're always going to have a back line.
Yeah.
Possibly one way we can address this is sometimes forgo part of the warm-up. Get them in the classroom, get them in a central focused briefing part, play them some video, play them some, or go through something on the whiteboard or the board or the flip chart to demonstrate what it is that we're going to be doing. If you take 10 minutes to do that, you've got their attention to a focal point. Yeah. You can also demonstrate what you'd expect to be the gold standard. You don't have the luxury in your group of having a demonstration group. And if you use the classroom as a demonstrating facility, then they understand what it is that they're going to do when they go out.
That's a good idea.
Sometimes it's also good for a debriefing, again because you've always got that furthest away, lots going on in the circuit, parental interference and so on. Maybe bring them back, have a chat in the classroom, get them isolated so that they understand what's going on.
Yep.
The other thing was, even though the throughput, the riding time related to the talking time was good, the older riders, you had everybody doing 4 laps. The older riders could probably have done 6 laps to give them a little bit more time, so you're bringing in the younger riders and
spending more time talking to them.
And then change the questioning technique a little bit more for the older riders, so they might get a longer time, tease out what is it that they're learning. Although the questioning level is good, it's always what went well, what could have gone better. If we try to break sessions down into the learning zone and the performance zone, so what is it that we can learn, what is it that we can practice in this part of the session, and then how can we put that into a performance context when we bring them together? I think that's what the older riders sometimes need.
Yep.
So the younger riders, they are almost 70% in the learning zone. With the older riders, we want to put them in something like a 60-40, so 60% in the learning zone, 40% in the performance zone, where we're actually putting it together.
Okay. The concept of learning zone, performance zone is new to me. That's good.
Okay, I've got a handout here, so I mean that is football related. But when we think about the different concepts of
All right.
learning, so
well done.
well, this is what I like to put into
Yeah.
to mind. So, what is it that when we're in the learning zone, what is it that we're focusing on?
Yep.
And then we're still reaching the same outcomes, but when we go into the performance zone, we flip the thinking a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
So maybe something that could be incorporated.
Yeah, very good.
The debriefing, always good. I think the debriefing, I mean, the communication that the riders have with you, I think is perfect. I think you have a great rapport with them. I think that's super. They're not afraid to speak. You can tell that you're not driving information at them. It's very much teasing. It's very much two ways. Thinking about getting them to reaffirm what they've learned. So not only what went well, but take time, not every session, but throw it in. What did you learn? How is that going to benefit you in a situation, and so on?
Yeah.
So,
One of my big disappointments is every week, I start off with reviewing what we did the week before.
yeah,
And their level of recall
yeah,
is so disappointing.
yes. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think it's that we just love riding our bikes, and they're not necessarily thinking about
Yeah.
how are we going to put this into practice. But what is evident is that subconsciously they are learning because they do progress, and they may not be able to recall it on the day, but they are recalling it when they put it into practice.
Well, I think your suggestion is a good one. If I finish a session with the questions, the same questions, that I'm going to use the next week to review, that's direct reinforcement.
It is,
Yeah, if I ask the questions in the same way, it probably will have a better chance of sinking in than if I ask the question in different ways week to week.
Yep. Technically, the only thing that I would have added in was on the pace line, getting the drift onto the windward side. It was you added it in on the through and off,
yeah.
but reinforcing that in the when you advanced the session. So you did your 4 laps, then you bring them back.
Yeah.
How could we improve that? Well, we could improve that by taking note of the wind, drifting onto the windward side, and so on. The other thing I think we all need to improve on is the use of the riding helpers and making sure that they're briefed.
Good point.
I saw we get different riding helpers every week. Some have been here constantly, some are dropping in, dropping out, that sort of thing. And I saw somebody offering a coaching tip that wasn't necessarily in line with your session plan. So he was delivering something that was contradictory to what you were putting through.
Which is down to me briefing them.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they need to be clever enough.
I think that's something that we do as a whole. So all our riding helpers should be in tune with what we're delivering, how we're delivering it, what our expected outcomes are, Um, and sometimes we just need to reinforce that at the start of it. So, for instance, when Sam was working with me, I'd take Sam to one side and say, right, the overall brief of this session is we're going to do this, this and this. The focus is going to be on this. Sam's my eyes and ears when he's out on the circuit, and I think it's the same with Paul, who was helping you today, and so on. So yeah, it's
no, but it's a good point because I can use them better because some of them are better at giving me feedback than others. Some are better at giving the writers feedback than others.
Right.
And I could raise the overall standard by briefing them.
Yeah. And then, they're just reinforcing the coaching points on the move.
Which is really important. Because, the other thing we had today was, we had a report that on the back rather than staying focused. And having the right helpers will eliminate that.
We haven't got enough rider helpers for each group, so sometimes we've got to trust along. And that's something that we need to do at a management level across the board. It's not just within the individual sections.
The other thing is as I get to know the riders better, you can anticipate which groups are going to be less disciplined. And I can try and assign rider helpers to the groups that are less well self-disciplined. And then the rider groups that I know are going to be able to take care of themselves probably don't need that rider help.
I didn't see anyone.
And there's a maturity level.
Exactly. You look at the group that Leon's usually with. They self-police quite well. And then you've got some of the young boys who, and young girls. Or sometimes concentration just doesn't last a lap.
That's right. Yeah, but we talked about my one. We talked about focus. We talked about the mental tiredness, especially riding around the circuit. It's going to happen, but how can we address that? How can we make something more stimulating for us as we're doing that as a group? I mean, everybody, so we can overcome that mental tiredness. That's just improvements for all of us. That's not personal.
Well, there's some guys which just came and asked us.
So we talked about possibility of demonstrations.
The ones that I used
Phil has a nice way of doing things with that magnetic board.
Yes.
There can be other ways of getting that. What are we going to do in this drill? How are we going to proceed it? Think about distances when you're drifting off the front. Don't drift off too far over. So how can we do that? So lining helmets up on the floor, or using a flip chart, or using video to reinforce, or anything like that.
You finished your
We're in a session.
ask a question.
And it's used
and just getting across the gold model, the gold standard. What is it that you expect from this? We could probably stimulate some sessions with other things. We can also do that on that days. It doesn't have to be on every session, but to reinforce what it is that we're actually looking for.
It's a good idea of using the classroom and taking the time without distraction to try and drive some points home. And you don't need to do that every week, but mixing in occasionally is a very good idea. So I've not done. I did it once because it was a damn cold and we decided to bring it in. And it was quite helpful actually, because we were working on a particularly complicated. It was how do you help out a teammate who falls behind, and like people say with a puncture, and the spacing of the teammates to work them back up. And I was struggling on the circuit to get him to understand, but we came inside and I could use the whiteboard to get help. So I'll do that more frequently.
And also playback as well. If you take some video, what wasn't working well and what was working well, and compare the two side by side, and let them critique their own efforts. I think that'd be something that's possibly beneficial.
That's a good idea.
Sorry, we get questioning your conversation.
So all in all, what did you learn from today's session?
Well, I probably learned more from the feedback than I did from the session. But, I think, big takeaways, we just talked about using the classroom and making that more routine. I think that's a great suggestion. Secondly, the briefing on the coaching riders, the adult riders, making sure I get more out of them. Because there was one time where I had 2 coaches with 1 group. Well, that's a waste of resources. And, I need to get Tony to join a different group. But yeah, getting more out of them is quite important because with, like today, 30 riders, you can't police them yourselves, and there's a lot of quite young riders. So those riding coaches are quite important to me. I think as a club, we probably had an imbalance today. We had too many adult helpers with silvers and not enough with the gold. So,
Yeah. Given that we're splitting up into smaller groups
Yeah.
and then bringing back and
Yeah.
so. But they could also help with the organisation.
Yeah.
When you stop and you get them, they tend to congregate as a group of adults. Well, they could be feeding back. If they knew coaching points were, they could really feed back on that and help you. As I said, they are your eyes and ears when they're riding. So.
Something we could do is have a little meeting of the adult helpers. I think you did this once last year.
We did, yeah. We do an induction for.
Yeah. Have a meeting to just talk about what are our expectations of the adult helpers and how can they help the coaches more effectively. Because there's a lack of awareness on their part, probably, of some of the things they could be doing.
And that's right. We don't train the adults as much as we train
The kids.
the youngsters.
Yeah.
So even though, and because they're not here every week, so the youngsters have got an awareness of certain drills and techniques, and they understand that, and yet the adults aren't doing it. And then we're in this situation where monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And we've got to be aware that we don't want to introduce bad habits into all the good work. that
Yep.
we've,
Yeah.
I think they are there to be utilised, but we need to
Make more of them.
make more of them.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No,
I mean, I think
I really appreciate this idea of the Learning Zone Performance Center. That's new. I'm glad that you gave me a learning aid here as well. But that's a good concept. And the thing about gold that's almost unique amongst the groups here is the big range of the kids that just come up from silver, the kids that are just about ready for gold plus. Well, I've gotten from sort of 9 to 14 in some cases. That's a massive difference. So recognizing that some of the kids need different kinds of coaching points than others is a good point. Not to give everyone the same coaching points.
but very to mix it up a bit. Yeah.
It's
And then
helpful.
and not everybody learns. Not everybody learns at the same rate, but also you don't deliver at the same
way.
So
Yeah.
it keeps it fresh when you do come on to do something again, because they're going to incrementally learn something new. They're going to advance a skill or a technique that they've already delivered, but they're going to take on to the next level because it becomes more appropriate to where they are age-wise and maturity-wise.
Well, some of these kids could be with me for 3 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got to keep them engaged.
Exactly. And if you don't keep it fresh, they're just going to get bored.
Yeah.
I've done this before.
But overall, very pleased. I mean, I love watching your delivery. I think it's marvellous. I think the preparation that you put into this and the results that you get. I mean, that's it's demonstrated. You get out of it what you put in, and you put a lot into it. I think it works really well.
Oh, thank you very
And
much.
I think the kids really love your sessions, and nothing but positiveness.
Thank you.
Well done.
Cheers.
Thank you.
That's good. Well done, man.